Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. If this is your first time here, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Nate.
And this is our dog Tompkins. We're standing here in our van, which is also our home. We've been living here in our 2017 Ram ProMaster for the last 2.5 years. We self-converted it with little to no experience. If you guys want to see our full van tour, you can click here. You'll get a whole lay of the land. And a few weeks ago, we decided that we wanted to do a little remodel. We're pretty happy with our van. We love our layout. So there are just a couple things that we wish that we had done differently from the beginning. We're gonna take you guys through what upgrades we made and also share a couple of the things that we would have done differently if we could go back in time. The mold, what we thought was mold, basically the reason we ripped our whole van apart, turned out to not in fact be mold. It was just dirt.
Yeah, I thought for some reason it was a good idea to keep this as like a passive intake, which it's not meant to be. So there's flaps on here. It's kind of like a diaphragm that lets air out but not in. And something happened to where I took all the flaps off, and then now it's kind of exposed to the elements, so not a very smart idea. But that's where it was coming from.
So the thing that inspired this whole entire remodel is that we really wanted to redo this back section. So this back area we never finished. When we finished our build, we basically just slapped a really thin piece of plywood up there and painted it, and it didn't really look that nice, and it wasn't a very functional area. So the first thing that we did was obviously redid all the benches, and we had this before, but Nate builds these little triangle cubby box pieces to go on the sides. We decided to make it a little bit bigger so that we could house our outdoor shower hookup, because before it was kind of exposed and we'd always knock into it. So here it's kind of tucked away and in this little cubby here. And this also doubles as a little drink holder for me. I sleep on this side of the bed, so now I have a little platform, which is really awesome. And we also wanted to just make this look a little bit nicer, so we did some trim around. The main thing that I wanted here was a drawer that pulls out that could act as a table. So I really wanted to have like a little place we could sit out here and drink our coffee or prepare a meal outside, something that was a little bigger than the table that we have on the other side. So we made this into a drawer that pulls out. I really wanted to do something fun for the lid, so I went with this peach color. It's one of my favorite colors. So we have this as a table. This is on some pretty heavy duty drawer slides, and then this opens up, and this is basically more storage. So we have some of our shower stuff, some extra pairs of shoes, and it's just a lot more functional than what it was before, which was just shoes that we never wear. We had this before. It's a little smaller now, but we still have our little garage area. Basically you just push this back and we have some more storage. This is where we keep some of our hoses and outdoor stuff. We also added an AC outlet, so if we're sitting outside, want to charge our computers or our phones, we can plug in right there. So the last thing we did was sealed up all the edges around the bottom. So you just use some silicone, and this way no water is going to seep into the back. If it's raining and we have the doors open, it's just all protected and nice and sealed. The big focus with the remodel was this back area. We essentially ripped out the back benches, we took apart our electrical, our plumbing, and we just basically cleared this whole section out. So this allowed us to reframe our benches, redo the electrical a little cleaner, and redo the plumbing, as well as relocate some of the switches. And it also allowed us to kind of reconfigure this section. You guys saw the back pull-out table, but we also sectioned it off and added this shoe cubby. So we're also able to add some trim around this platform and seal it off nice, because one big problem that we kept having is dog hair would get into these cracks and it would build up super fast. So now we won't have to worry about dog hair and dirt seeping below. We can just kind of clean it up because this is all sealed. So the next addition we made was this little recessed bookshelf. We never really knew what to do with this wall space right here, so for a while we wanted to do a little bookshelf, and we're really happy with how it turned out. Now we can just throw our calendars and notepads and things that would always just be floating around on the countertop. We can easily put them away. And then while we're over here, I'll also show you that we added this little trim to the countertop. So now we have that all nice and sealed off, and we also like the way it looks with the butcher block countertop we have here. So Okay, so this next project is something that Nate's really been wanting to do for a while. We used to have all of our switches down on this lower part of the bench. So in order to access them, you'd have to bend down and kind of look below. We also had our thermostat there for our heater, which we found was not the best placement because all the heat would kind of settle down at the bottom. So we weren't getting an accurate temperature reading for the upper part of the van when we had our bed set up. So what we did was we moved it to this spot right here. We have our thermostat here, we have our battery monitor. We could never see this. We were always having to really get down to see it, so now we can see it a little bit better. We also have our inverter switch that we can easily flip on and off. So this makes it a little more functional with the switches. So down here we still have an AC outlet, a DC outlet, and then we also wired a switch for our Wii boost so we can easily turn it on and off. And then we have our propane detector here. And then on the other side we have our water pump switch, and then we also added something kind of cool, which is red lights. So the idea with this is that red lights are a little bit less harsh on your eyes. So for nighttime, it's good to have the red lights versus the blue lights. It's supposed to be more relaxing, more zen, and it's supposed to kind of put you in the mood for sleep. So we did that. That was just kind of like a fun addition.
Another thing that we fixed that we're really excited about is our floor. It was getting a really mean bubble right about here. I think that probably could be mostly due to the heat that comes out. We actually have it coming out of our toe kick right here. But also we built our van flooring underneath all this cabinetry and stuff, and it needs room to expand and contract, so that probably had a lot to do with it as well. But what we basically did was just use the multi-tool and kind of just cut along the edge of the bottom of the cabinet here. So we were able to kind of get in there and lift that one plank out. Well, two planks I guess, and just kind of snap into the existing ones. That way we just butted it up right up against there with some new pieces. We did that, put the corner round molding right there as well, so we can kind of keep that floor in and also seal against any spills or anything like that. So if you're using this type of flooring, the vinyl plank flooring, it's probably a better idea to build it around the cabinetry so everything can have some room to expand and contract, and you'll have a nice flat floor, hopefully.
So we also gave the whole van a nice little fresh coat of paint. On some of the corners and edges where we used painter's caulk to kind of make everything look seamless, some of that had split and was a little discolored. Our tile, I was really worried that this was going to crack because it's super heavy, for a van at least. But I'm really impressed with how well it's held up. The only thing that we had going on was a little bit of cracking in the silicone grout on the bottom. Just gave that a fresh little bead of silicone and we're looking good.
We also added this table a long time ago, I'm sure you saw, but we put some outlets right here because we like to hang out and charge our phones or go on the computer or whatever. We added a 120 AC outlet and a 12-volt DC outlet right here. Finally added a shore power plug. We always would just go through the door, but this makes it much safer and easier. Probably won't use that all too much, but it's always a good option to have. Over the past few months, we've added a couple things to the outside of the van that are pretty major upgrades, so let me show you those. First up is this sweet little ladder right here. Pretty cool. It's a prime design ladder, something we've been wanting and looking at. Finally got it. Clamps to the door super easily with these like little rubber feet. But yeah, this lets us get up to our solar panels. So since it's much easier to get up here now, we kind of reconfigured the solar panels to add these couple planks here to sit on or walk on and just be up here without stepping on the roof and denting it. And this is also the place where we keep this for our new awning. It's our new awning. Check it out. So this awning is super cool. We love it. It's a Fiamma F80S and it fits on our rack perfectly. It's a Fiamma rack as well. But it's super easy to install and easy to use, and it's a real game changer for keeping the sun off the van, keeping everything cool, and allowing us some more living space out here. Alright, so let's show you what we have in the benches. First off, this is one of the things that we salvaged from the last bench. Plywood is, as you know, pretty expensive right now. So we saved these lids. We kind of made them a little bit nicer though. We used a router on the edges here, put this little nook in there. So now everything looks really nice and it fits together right against the cabinet really well. Everything is nice and sealed. Inside, is looking a lot better than it used to. Before we upgraded everything, it was kind of a rat's nest in here. We decided to clean it up and add some better breakers and wires and kind of just set things up a little bit differently. So I'll show you what the heck is going on in here. We use this breaker box for the solar panels. These are solar rated breakers at a higher voltage. I decided to bundle the battery to battery charger breakers in the same panel. We actually used to have a fuse on it. We kept the fuse by the starter battery and we actually added in 2 breakers. So we have one going in and then one going out to the system. So now we have the ability to turn off the solar panels and the solar charge controller, as well as the battery to battery charger. And then the other major thing we did was really tighten down these wires. Before, a lot of things were loose and this van rattles like crazy and bounces around, so definitely want to keep everything really nice and tight so it stays safe over the long run and you don't have anything coming loose and shorting and causing major problems. So it's definitely very important. I use the zip ties that had the little hole in it, so I would mount them just with a screw and you tie them up tight and it looks really clean. You can see where everything goes. And last thing, relocating some of these components and wires, we were able to tidy things up really nice and make it safe to put things in here. Before, we kind of just stuffed it with things and it's just a mess. So we have a nice open space here that's pretty well ventilated and we can have a nice little storage spot.